I wanted to talk about how I find my spots to sleep at night. I always opt for the free option. Always, always, always. It's pretty easy to find free overnight parking as long as you're smart and safe about it. I only purchased a campsite once, and that was more to use the shower when I hadn't gotten my Planet Fitness membership yet. I'm not paying rent, I'm not paying campsites, like I'm saving so much on living. There are some states where sleeping over in your car is illegal. I don't know why. I think that's an excellent, viable option for people who don't have other options. Stealth camping is when you are in a city or parked in like a commercial area. You usually black out your windows. Wild camping is find an outcropping in the woods. It's not a campsite. You don't pay for it. So how do you find these spots? That is where the app iOverlander comes in, and a lot of other van lifers, RVers, like campers, everyone uses this app, it seems. I've had it on my Android phone, I've had it on my iPhone, and it works on both. It's a pretty simple interface. One of the big complaints I have is that you can't search areas. So like, let's say I'm in Houston, Texas, but I want to know camping options in Marfa, Texas. I can't just search Marfa, Texas in iOverlander. I have to like go on the map and then be like, oh, here's Houston, and then drag until I like can find Marfa, which usually you can't find these little cities if you're looking for them. You kind of just have to wait until you get there. So when you see these little bubbles, each one of these icons means a different thing. Moon with the little tent, that means wild camping. That means you don't have to pay. It's not gonna have your amenities, but it will have space for you, and you should have a nice quiet night. Perfect. And there's like a fire ring, which means low-key meant for this. Get all of your stuff that you need to do with service done before you hit a wild camping spot, just in case. And make sure you can get your way out without Google Maps too. Like for me, every time I've done it, it's been one road in, one road out, nothing else. But if it gets windy back there and there's like twists and turns and you don't have service, like you might be fucked. Don't leave food outside. Animals will come. Animals will come and eat the food and they'll eat you. I learned that even toothpaste can attract like bears and stuff. Find a place where you can see the stars. Just looking out even like my back window laying here, one of my favorite parts of this whole kind of lifestyle. This kind of morning is like exactly what I pictured when I pictured myself doing this trip. Just wake. Crank my music up a little bit. You may hear some things that freak you out, but overall, I just feel so safe being in my car. There will sometimes be people in these like wild camping spots. Sometimes wild camping even means a trailhead in a state or a national park. And in that case, yeah, there'll be other people there. This like skyscraper, and that means it's like a commercial building or a parking lot, somewhere where more people are, so you're probably gonna have to do a little bit more stealth camping. When it comes to those, I always go for Walmarts. You won't be the only one standing out for just kind of like hanging out in your car. Most of the time there's a Walmart around, and I've never had a problem with it. I've never had anyone knock on my door at night and like ask what I was doing or ask me to move. Being in like a dark blue, almost black sedan is pretty discreet. As long as when you press on it and location comes up, it doesn't say in red letters at the top, this place has been marked as closed. Because if you see that, that means that someone tried to spend the night there and was kicked out or something. It's just a no-go. Don't go. I've heard this a lot from people. They get this instinct if they're staying somewhere and it will just feel wrong or it'll feel unsafe. They talk about moving on, trusting your instinct and moving on, because like the worst comes to worst, you spend a little extra time finding a new space. PSA about iOverlander. Don't get me wrong, love this app, but oh my goodness, does it have its flaws. The one that like really you should be warned about, because it's ruined a few of my nights. When you scroll down to a place and you're like, hey, I want to go here, and you can either click copy the coordinates and you can put it into your Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, whatever you use, or you can say Google Map me here. However, I don't know if it's iOverlander or if it's Google Maps, but the coordinates completely off. So there have been many times where I have driven super far, like been like, oh, people are raving about this spot in the woods, up mountains and stuff, I'm losing service. I come up to a rock wall. On the other side of me is just a huge drop off, and they're like, you're at your campsite. And then I'll go in iOverlander and be like, how is this where the campsite is? And I'll look, and it's not where I am at all. So either Google Maps or iOverlander totally led me astray multiple times that I put in Google Maps me here. From now on, I'm always using the copy coordinates. When you're looking for a spot, what should you take into consideration? The season that you're in. A lot of people will mark places by the water where people launch their boats as places you can stay over. However, if it's during the summer, this is like a nice secluded place by the, like, to get to the water. It has a dock. There's probably gonna be kids shooting off firecrackers or fireworks or drinking beers at like late summer nights, or early 4 a.m. there'll be fishermen in the summer getting out and getting on their boats. Obviously winter, if you're somewhere cold, you don't want to be stuck in like a snowbank somewhere. And flooding. If you are parked near water and it's just torrential downpouring all night.
Oh my God.
What about Wi-Fi? Do you want some Wi-Fi? Maybe you should find a place near McDonald's, Walmart, or a Lowe's, or Home Depot. Any of these big department stores always have their own free Wi-Fi. What about bathrooms?
To get to the bathroom, I have to walk through puddles that are ankle deep.
The comments are everything. They call it checking in. On iOverlander, you can check in once you've, spent a night somewhere. And people will tell you about the night they had. They say, oh, it's a little bit noisy. It's by the train tracks. We asked the Walmart manager, and they said, absolutely, you can stay. At first, I would never check in on iOverlander. Like, I never left comments or anything like that. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, I rely so heavily on even just one single person from 2018 saying, this spot did me well. That changes like my whole night. That will give me a place to stay. So from now on, like I've been trying to add my comments in. Usually it's just a quick, still good, slept here, was still good. I wanted to give you one other option other than iOverlander, and that's freecampsites.net. You can find different options. Like, that's the great thing about both iOverlander and Free Campsites, is that they'll often have totally different sites. So that just like doubles your options. Once you feel like you've done this a few times, you've kind of gotten the gist of it, I personally feel like I'd be more comfortable creating my own spot now. Not so much stealth camping, like I'm not gonna find a random city street, although people do that, but like finding a spot in the middle of nowhere, I'll be like, I'm making my own damn spot. Lots of people are doing this home on wheels thing these days. I don't think you're gonna be looked at weird if you're trying to stealth camp, as long as you're not making a ruckus and clean up after yourself always. I'm gonna go get some dinner in Walmart and go to bed because I'm sick. I don't know if you can tell, but I sound terrible. Anyway.